Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Welcome to Search Talk Live with search engine optimization and marketing experts Robert O'Haver and Matt Weber. Powered by the Robert Palmer family of companies.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Search Talk Live. I'm your host, Robert O'Haver, and with me today is Matt Weber. Welcome back, Matt.
Hey, good to be back. I was just coming back from Boulder, Colorado, and I was speaking before the Downtown Boulder Partnership. And you're not going to believe this, Robert. Boulder, Colorado, 2 people, fans of the show.
No
listeners.
way.
Yes. They said, hey, we never miss your podcast. It was awesome.
You're kidding me.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow, that kind of gives me the wheeze.
Yeah, so hello, Boulder, Colorado.
Yeah. Shout out to Boulder.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, Matt.
I'm the CEO of Roar Internet Marketing, a 10-year-old digital marketing firm. And I'm also the inventor of Smilelytics, which is a new platform that allows you to transform your Google Analytics data into memorable photographs.
Awesome. All right, guys. Today we're going to switch gears on you. We've been talking, SEO for
SEO a lot.
2-3 weeks now, and today we're going to switch it up to some social media stuff. So I hope you can put on your other hat and pretend you're, or not pretend, but be in your social media realm today. But today our guest is Patrick McKenna. He is the CEO and founder of Strike Social. Today he's going to be talking about social media trends and what to expect in the near future. How's it going, Patrick?
Good. Hi, Robert. Hi, Matt. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. We're really looking forward to this.
Yeah, definitely.
Good. Me too.
So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I don't know where to start. I guess early in my career was telecommunications, just sort of sales rep guy, and then I started one of those switchless resellers up in the state of Washington. And this is early. This is 90s, early 90s. Got out in the mid 90s. And ended up over at Microsoft for 12 years. So on the Microsoft side, in the Windows Media Player technology stack, so we had, this was like the early days of audio and video on the internet. So, what we're doing now with audio and video on the internet was back then pretty nascent. You had Real Player and you had us.
Yeah.
So that was cool. I got to sort of grow up in that field. And then I was in business development and marketing, and got it when YouTube sort of hit the market. It was kind of the first time video could be monetized on the internet using advertising. And so I got really curious about that and sort of dove into Google AdWords and Google and a Google partnership. And that's how we started Strike Social back in 2013.
Nice.
Good timing.
Yeah.
Good timing.
Yeah, great timing.
So let's talk a little bit about social media, and I think we got to get into it just very quickly because I travel the country. Number one question I get is from businesses saying, how much money should I be spending in paid social versus this Google? How do you help businesses decide what allocation of their budget should be toward paid social and what towards search? What guidance can you give?
Yeah, I think it just depends on what you're trying to accomplish, right? I mean, we have customers that are spending an enormous amount of money on Facebook and less on search advertising. I'm a big believer in search. I feel like if you're going to pull a marketing lever, you got to be testing everything. On the B2B side, it gets a little bit more challenging. That tends to be more of a content play. But if you're in that, direct to consumer marketing, hopefully you're getting an ROI off of it, right? And so those budgets have been growing steadily, and you can see them on Facebook's revenue, and you can see them in all these social platforms' revenue, that they're really growing, and they're sucking a lot of dollars out of traditional television at this point.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. I mean, with with all the stuff that's been going on, let's jump to Facebook real quick. You know, with the privacy and all that stuff. Do you see, like, has Google really? I'm not Google. Facebook, has it really like kind of locked down some of the targeting as like it used to be?
You know, I haven't noticed what I think is going to happen, Robert, is the prices are going to go up, but they're going to go up for everybody, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I do feel like Facebook kind of had free reign, and in terms of, you know, what they could use in part of their targeting algorithms, and I think they're going to have to turn some of those things off. And, you know, honestly, I think there's going to be there needs to be some oversight about data and how people are processing data, and you know, letting companies just go do whatever they want, I think, is going to become a thing of the past. I think one of the biggest challenges too is, you know, who in Washington really understands this stuff well enough to put the right, you know, policing activity in place and monitor this thing for these companies. It's a super hot topic. I expect to see some fines. I think you're going to see more fines. The EU's fining people, and I think the US is just going to they're going to lay their fine down, and it's going to be substantial.
Yeah, you know, to bring that up, remember that interview that Google had with the Congress, and how how out of touch with the whole how things work. And my fear, I guess, would be that these guys are going to throw laws in place that they really have no understanding about, you know, and that's my biggest fear.
Yeah, and the government's good at that.
Yeah.
Right? They tend to, you know, pick up on a hot topic and pound the gavel, if you will. And you know, I find that rapid fire sitting in front of Congress thing to be, I don't know. It just seems like a showboat opportunity to me. You get a certain amount of time to ask a question, then you're asking a question that could take an hour to answer, right? To really understand it. And so, yeah, look, I'm not for government intervention, but I'm definitely for, you know, construction.
Sure.
I think we've all seen, you know, what it looks like when capitalists are allowed to just do whatever they want, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about how smart that algorithm has become. Let's say that you wanted to target Robert O'Haver here, and you wanted the best feel for Robert's purchase intentions in the next few months. Which platform has your experience taught you knows the most about Robert?
Well, I'd have to really dig into Robert. I'd have to find out I'd have to find out. Well, I'd have to find out what Robert likes, what Robert's friends like, what other people that look like Robert like, where they live, what the product fit is for Robert, and then I got to really work on that messaging that's going to convert Robert. So I'd need a ton of information, and that sort of comes in that psychographic work that you do on the planning side, on the upfront side, that's really important. And then I can start to figure out a strategy to go hit Robert. And it's really about where Robert is. You know, Robert may not be on Facebook. And so you gotta kind of like get out there in search and display, and it's got to be the right message to Robert at the right time to get him to convert, right?
And this is where your platform helps, because the pre-planning work that you're talking about takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
And it's a part of the process that a lot of people skip. I think they just go to the interface, they upload a clever ad, they check a few boxes, and they're off and running. And then they turn around and go, well, how come this didn't work?
I'm an exception to the rule because I could be easily targeted. Just target Tesla or Elon Musk or anything like that. And I'm all over it. But
But you've got to have some intellectual power behind your buying decisions nowadays.
Yeah.
Paid social has gotten more complex to place than it was just a year and a half ago. So, Patrick, how does your technology make the placement of paid social a little bit easier?
Yeah, so we do artificial intelligence on the planning side. And so, Robert, what you just told me about yourself, about Tesla, there are characteristics of Tesla buyers and enthusiasts, right?
Yep.
And those buyers and enthusiasts are going to be, they're going to have a variety of other interests as well as Tesla. So you could actually use Tesla as a targeting tactic to go after Robert and then convert that message into, whatever it is I'm trying to sell you, whether it be Dollar Shave Club or some other DTC type product or whatever product I have. But yeah, you're right, Matt. Like it's really important that you're testing audiences and mapping audiences. And it's really hard to do because there's a lot of audiences in these platforms and they don't all use the same, for lack of a better term, naming conventions to go describe, how these audiences marry up to each other. Right. So you kind of need planning software for each platform if you want to be successful, and you got to map those back to each other as well. So that's sort of the cross-platform planning that you're going to need to be successful.
Wouldn't it be great if somebody, and this is for you, Robert, so you can make a lot of money and just credit me with the idea, that somebody invented a schema markup system for audiences so that when you went to Facebook, they called it the same thing that Google does, and so just standardize the names of these audience definitions.
Yeah.
So we've done that.
Oh, see, Robert, you missed your chance.
Yeah. So we had to do that, right? Because we were cross-platform. So we had to be able to understand what the name of this audience over here on YouTube is also the name of this audience over here on Facebook, Snap, Pinterest, LinkedIn, and all that stuff. And so that you got to marry those things up. Otherwise, you're going to be off target. Then you're wasting money if you're off target.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Google has a pretty good tool that you can use for audiences and narrowing down the groups and stuff that, that are tied to those interests and stuff. Go ahead.
Well, and they all do, right? I mean, they all have these audiences in their platform, and they're well defined. It's just understanding. Like I'll give you an example. And I've used this in the past. So I've got a client who's selling product in Walmart. And so naturally, and when he's on Facebook, he's grabbing a Walmart shopper audience, right? You just type in Walmart and it's going to pop up. Well, within that Walmart audience, there are all different types of audiences that are also interested or shopping at Walmart. And so discount coupon shoppers is also one. Coupon clippers is another one. So you can go into the less obvious audiences, like obviously you want the Walmart shoppers, but what else makes up a Walmart shopper in terms of interests? And you got to go test those. And that's how you can keep the cost of your advertising down, right? Because Walmart shoppers could be very competitive and it's an auction, right? So if everybody's in there bidding on the Walmart shopper and they're missing the discount coupon guys, they could be paying a lot less for discount coupon clippers, right? And so that's how you got to build that out. And it's pretty sophisticated stuff. Otherwise, the cost of your advertising is going to keep going up.
So you're sitting on a giant data set. Mm-hmm. Give us some insight as to what overall trends you see in terms of engagement per platform or creative type per platform, because you're seeing it all from 30,000 feet. What's kind of working on Facebook? What's kind of working on Instagram? What's kind of working on YouTube? Do you see any big trends bubbling to the top?
Yeah, the shorter form video stuff has been something I've been talking about for a while, and now you're starting to see that in mass over the last couple of years. I think I think Facebook does a really good job of allowing you a lot of different types of formats in terms of static images and GIFs and short form video or long form video, however you want to do it. I think that one of the things that people miss on YouTube is you can do the same thing there. I just don't feel like people, like, it takes more steps to set that up, right? Like you've got to put that in the platform, and it's more work. And so I feel like on YouTube, people tend to go, well, here's my format and it's long form, or here's my format and it's short, when you should be testing all the different types of video lengths and pieces of creative that you have in the platform.
Are you talking about the 6-second bumper ads?
I'm talking about 6 second, but it doesn't just have to be bumper, right? You could do 6 second as a skippable, right? I mean, you could do, you could do any number of seconds or minutes on YouTube. And I just feel like people stick to a specific type of format, where on Facebook they get a little bit more creative. And to be honest with you, in terms of like a return, the best way to measure your YouTube return is to go look in your search results, right? So when you marry YouTube and use it as sort of a mid-funnel measurement and drive the actual measurement out of search, that's when you're really seeing like, okay, I ran this ad and my branded keyword search all of a sudden, increased by 4 or 5x during the period of time I was running the ad, right? Facebook's a little different. Facebook's like you're scrolling down, you're seeing ad, and then you're clicking in and you're all the way to purchase. So it's really easy to sort of follow that through all the way through to your CRM and your shopping cart. It's a little less visible when you're using YouTube.
Yeah, and that was going to be my analogy. You're screaming in a field of 1,000 people, on YouTube, as opposed to you're standing out a little more when you're on Facebook. So,
yeah, I think my experience dovetails Patrick's, is that people are really dependent on long format stuff in YouTube because either they've created it for another reason, and we continue, I think, to underestimate the diminishing attention span of the American consumer.
Yep.
And you have to kind of default to short and then test long, and I think a lot of people go in there with these 90-second and 120-second ads on YouTube, and they just don't seem to work as well as they used to.
Yeah, this show, for example, looking at the YouTube analytics, the average listen time is 45 minutes. So, I mean, they're actually listening that long. So,
wow.
And because it's not a video, it's just audio. So,
right.
But still, I thought that was pretty interesting.
Well, Patrick, tell us a little bit more about creative types. Great observation about shorter forms. So Facebook, as you mentioned, has a plethora of options available. And I think the other thing that happens is a lot of people get into Facebook and they see that toolbox and they're like, oh, man, I got to try it all on there. And I think that their effort gets diluted a little bit. Can you attach any creative types that are associated with success, either in particular verticals or B2B or B2C, as you observe your data set about Facebook advertising?
Sure. And some of these, this might be obvious, but Instagram for the, any sort of clothing or makeup or, I would guess female related, even male related it's a really fantastic platform, and it's converting really well. And it's heavy image, and heavy short form video. Man, I agree with you on everything that you've said. It is very challenging to have the bandwidth to test everything, but you kind of gotta test a lot of stuff. I mean, there is a lot of value in going to a company like, a shameless plug here, like ours, that's tested a lot of this stuff by vertical, globally, and relying on their data and expertise to pull that out. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you open these platforms, these are very sophisticated platforms. The one thing I hear a lot of, like, startup companies, and I'm sure there's some startup people that are on this podcast, they're like, well, I tried Facebook and I was doing the sponsored post or whatever, and it didn't do anything. And you're just like, well, you're going to have to get into Ads Manager. Like, you're going to have to find someone who's an expert in the actual enterprise ads platforms, or you're not going to be successful. So, that's the big key message I try to give people. Once you can pull that marketing lever and you can get that ROI and you can start jamming customers into your CRM, you're off to the races. As long as your CACs are good.
Yeah. I find this to be funny, but I'd say the number one mistake that companies do is they don't feel like they have the money or a budget to go to an agency. But by the time they've wasted all the money on the spend, on any of these platforms, they could have paid for an agency.
Right. Plus an opportunity cost, right? They lost an opportunity to do that. Yeah. Well, Patrick, do you think that paid social requires more frequency than perhaps banner ads and straight display?
Yeah, I like display for remarketing. Yeah. I feel like display for me, like, I don't even know if I see them anymore. Maybe I am subconsciously seeing display, and someone, from our display team's gonna murder me, one of our display partners. But, I really like it for remarketing. I feel like Facebook and search are like, you can get your ROI there, and then you can start expanding out into those other sort of less click to buy opportunities, right? I feel like Facebook and search are click to buy. Same with Amazon ads. Pinterest is also converting really well. And then LinkedIn's, it's more expensive, but if you're B2B, you kind of gotta find a sweet spot there.
Yeah, I think bottom line is you really need to be where your customers are. You need to understand who your customers are. So Instagram is great, but it skews more younger than it does older. So you don't want to, if you're selling tractors, you obviously don't want to
right.
advertise.
If you're selling tractors on Instagram, if you're selling, you're in trouble.
Yeah. Bad example, but you know what I mean.
You know what I'm interested about Instagram is that people use Instagram as a research tool to see kind of behind the scenes of the thing that they're buying. And we have a cosmetic surgeon client, and we don't handle their social, but I follow it. And they show some very behind the scenes, very upfront, very kind of almost stomach churning videos of what the procedures are like. And when I first saw it, I thought, that's a turnoff, right? I mean, that's really taking away the glamour of plastic surgery. But I learned through them is that's what people want. They want to see, what is it going to be like when I go through that? And so Instagram is a door to see how the product or the service is actually done before they choose it.
Yeah. Interesting.
That's a great example. I feel like you could say that about YouTube as well, right? That educational part of YouTube, I think, is really powerful. Going back to the long form piece of it and having that in your channel, and then having the shorter form be the sort of like get them to the website piece of it, right? But it is about education. Like, the consumer's more educated than they've ever been, and I think if you're not providing that transparent education, I think that you're missing out on an opportunity in social for sure.
Yeah, that is so true. People today have an expectation, not a want, but an expectation that they're going to find exactly what they want when they want it. And when you don't deliver on that expectation, it's a disappointment for them, right?
Yeah.
So they're not surprised or elated when they find something that matches what they're looking for. It's an expectation they have of life today.
Mm-hmm. And you got to watch out for that disappointment too, right? Because that disappointment can turn into a mess, a social media mess coming from the customer publicly out about what you've provided, right?
Yeah.
I've seen that over and over again. I've had companies call me up and like, how do we stop this? And I'm like, call the person, find out how to get a hold of that person and fix it.
Yes.
Do what they were expecting, even if it's unrealistic. Give them what their unrealistic expectation was, if you can. But you're not going to make it go away unless you have a conversation with this person, and it's hurting your brand.
Yeah. Social media is like alcohol. Some people just can't handle it.
That's great.
Robert, tell me something. How well do you think Facebook knows you based on the ads that you see? A scale of 1 to 10. Have they got you figured out at a 10, or like 1, you're seeing stuff that's completely irrelevant to your
There's two people that know me better than anybody in the world, and that's Google and Facebook.
So you think Facebook's got you figured out?
Oh, yeah.
See, I'm not sure that isn't, and I think it may relate to a question that I want to ask Patrick, which is, Patrick, how does the algorithm figure out when someone shares an account? So Robert and his son share an Amazon account, maybe they share a Netflix account. How's it decoding that Game of Thrones fan is actually Robert's son and not Robert? So many people use shared accounts.
Yeah, well, I think you see that on Netflix, right? Like Netflix has, who is this user? And I think that's more of an internal thing, right? Like, I don't know that I would almost bet that Netflix isn't sharing that data with Facebook. Maybe they are. But from a search standpoint, you could take that to shared computer too, right?
Yes, exactly. Sure.
Yeah, I do think that there's a challenge there. And I think what you see, you know what? It's especially challenging to target kids. So I think that there's so many more data points, Matt, that they've got that figured out pretty well.
Yeah,
right.
Plus they're using companies like, well, they're no longer around, but Cambridge Analytica. They're buying data. Facebook's buying
to validate it and cross-tab it. Yeah. But I'm not sure that Facebook knows me as well, and I think part of that reason is because I share an Amazon account with my wife, who fortunately has better taste than I do, so I see good stuff. But I think that's where they've got me confused partially, because I see some stuff and I go, who do you think I am, Facebook?
That's interesting. Well, maybe they're just trying to get you to make the decision, because you sound like the decision maker over there, Matt.
Yeah, or maybe they're trying to get me to embark on some self-improvement.
So you're not into scrapbooking?
There you go.
But I may show a natural talent for it, apparently.
There you go.
I mean, the thing I think is important to drive across, if you know what you're doing and you know how to target people on, let's just say Facebook, since we're talking Facebook a lot, you can, I mean, especially with what you were talking about earlier with video ads. I've seen 2 cents, 3 cents a click. I mean, if you really know what you're doing, you can get a lot of bang for your buck.
Yeah, there's a diminishing return on that. And that's one of the things that we try to solve. When you're really trying to scale, you'll start to see that return curve start to go down.
Yeah.
And that tends to make people pull their budget back. And so what we try to do is get that curve to, go up and to the right and stay sort of, it's not going to hockey stick, but stay at a nice, 45-degree angle. But what happens is people start to spend more, and they're like, oh, I'm not making the margins that I want anymore, and maybe I'm even losing money, and they start to pull their budget back, and they get stuck at, say, $10,000 a month or $15,000 a month, when you really need to get up to like $100,000 a month. And then back to what you're saying, Matt, like, when do I go get that agency? And if you've got an agency and they're the right partner, they should be making you money out of the gate, right? Yeah.
So I think the takeaway before we go to break here for anybody listening is it's 2019 and you just shouldn't be trying to market to everybody.
Right.
The key is know who you really want to reach, and it's just not the time to be using mass vehicles anymore. Hone in on who you're looking for and go get them.
Yeah. You guys, we're listening to Patrick McKenna, founder and CEO of Strike Social. After the break, we are going to talk about who influences the influencer. We'll be right back.
Today's episode of Search Talk Live is sponsored by
Directive is an industry-leading search marketing agency fully focused on helping B2B marketing teams increase their results. If you're looking to increase your marketing qualified leads and decrease your cost per acquisition for search engines, I'd highly recommend you take a look at their site. We've actually had their CEO, Garrett Marguth, on the show, and I can honestly say these guys are doing some great stuff. I hear that they even have their own analytics system that lets you correlate your SEO, PPC, or content efforts directly to revenue. If you're a B2B company and thinking about switching agencies, or if you're in-house and need help, I'd give Directive a look. Visit directiveconsulting.com or call 949-214-4024. Again, that's 949-214-4024. Again, that's Directive at directiveconsulting.com. One of the major factors in ranking a website is quality backlinks to your site. There's much debate on what is the proper way to build links. Do it the wrong way and you could find yourself in a penalty. Follow best practices and your site could be rewarded by ranking higher in the search engines. As an SEO, it's very time consuming, along with the many other ranking factors you have to address on a website. You could spend days and months trying to get one quality backlink to your site. That is why I want to tell you about the No BS Marketplace. At No BS, you can connect with over 10,000 digital publishers. By following link building best practices, you can take full control of your link building campaigns and make it more cost effective for your clients. At No BS, they allow you to review publishers, approve content, and customize it to a whole new level, giving you the quality content that is so important. With pricing starting at just $100 per link, why not try a different way to build links? As a Search Talk Live listener, No BS is offering you 20% off your first order. Just use promo code Search Talk Live to get started today. Go to nobs.link. That is nobs.link.
Get your questions in on Twitter. Type hashtag Search Talk Live and your question. Now back to the show.
All right, we're back. Now remember, guys, if you're listening to us live, you can go to Search Talk Live. You can go to Twitter and type hashtag Search Talk Live. I'm monitoring that right now. So if you have a question for Patrick, we can get that to him and he can answer it live on the air.
Wait a minute. That looks like your March Madness bracket. That does not look like Twitter.
Shh. All right, Patrick. Now it's time for Who Influences the Influencer. Why don't you tell us, who do you pay attention to online that's an influence to you and kind of helps you along through the industry?
Oh my gosh. You know what? I'm probably not I'm probably not the norm. I get so deeply involved in what I'm doing that I have a hard time following, people on the internet. But I have people who have influenced me for sure. Stephen Covey with 7 Habits, Jim Collins, Good to Great, and Malcolm Gladwell. Like, I think that the way that guy writes a Blink and Tipping Point, I just find all that stuff so interesting. Mm-hmm. But I was really influenced by Gates. The way he ran that company, before he retired. We were just a machine over there. We were so well-oiled and organized and focused. I think they lost some of that through a lot of 2000, mm-hmm. and I think they've got it back now. But that was a really great place to go to learn how to do it right. Yeah. So those are the big ones for me.
And Search Talk Live, right?
And Search Talk Live. Search Talk Live. Absolutely. I love. I am starting to listen to more podcasts than music. I've always been sort of a guy who's tapped into, a long flight and listening to playlists for music, and now I'm getting more into listening to the podcast stuff because I find it really interesting.
I think that's his way of saying the only people he follows are the Kardashians.
I love the Kardashians. Yeah.
Is that a phenomena or is that a phenomena?
That is unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not following him, you got to follow him because it's a great study, right? I mean, I follow some people that aren't consistent with my interests, only to try to decode what's the appeal.
Yeah,
and that one I have not figured out yet, frankly.
Well, so I get the names wrong. Which one's the young billionaire now with the makeup line?
Chloe.
Okay, so Chloe, to me, like that was the perfect. I mean, they've built a network, right? They built a network that's larger than any single television network ever, right? With all their online presence, their offline presence, and then they have a television presence as well. And her makeup line was like the perfect marriage of the passion she had for that category and the influence that she could have in that category. And so for me, you're right, Matt. Like that is a study in, Maybelline and all of those makeup companies, the large behemoths came to her and said, "Hey, we'll make a line for you," and she was able to say, "What do I need you for?"
Yeah.
And I think that, so there is some. I do follow that. That's really impressive to me.
Now, if Instagram had a kind of roulette wheel feature or Twitter, and you clicked it, and it was just like, brrr, and it just lets you follow some random channel because you just wanted to see what's beyond your own perspectives of the world, would you use it? You just go click, brrr, and it just, boom, connects you up with something at random. Would you use it?
Probably not.
See, I would use it.
Sorry. Were you building that? I'm sorry.
No, let's talk a little bit about your platform. And we've talked about how complicated it is to do social media placement and getting more complicated by the day. Would you agree? And
yes.
Give us some sense of a case study. What's the labor savings using a platform, because you've got a self module of your platform versus trying to do it on? What could a user expect to save in labor using a platform versus trying to do all this stuff by hand?
I think we calculated it at about 25x.
Wow.
Now, keep in mind that we're selling mostly to large mid-tier brands direct. And then our biggest channel is, the large agency holding companies, right? So WPP, OMD, Publicis, those multi-billion dollar companies. I think Group M is WPP is like $45 billion in annual revenue. So we sell to them. We sell globally. So we sell, we have reps in Korea, Japan, all over Asia, APAC, Europe, and obviously the big ad markets in the U.S., which are New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles and San Francisco. So for us, it's all about scale, being able to scale.
Nice. So let's our topic today was the kind of the future of social. What do you see in the near future?
I think you're going to see some more companies come up and disrupt. A big one right now is TikTok. I don't know if you've heard about that one, but
TICK talk?
Yep.
Okay.
No, I think it's TIK talk.
Okay.
TOC. Don't quote me on that. We'll have to look that up. But that is starting to come up in my meetings. How do I get on there? How do I advertise on there? I'm going to misquote the number of users, but it's massive. It could be up as high as 500 million. It could be as low as 150 million, but there's a lot of people on that thing. Yeah, it's big, growing fast.
It looks like a Vine type application.
Yeah, it used to be Musical.ly, and then TikTok's out of a large organization out of China, I believe, is how that's coming over here. Well funded. But I guess my point is that I still think that there's going to be disruption here. I don't think that we're looking at the end, being Facebook being the end. Mm-hmm. So that's exciting because I like competition. I like that there are more outlets. Competition does so many great things for marketplaces, right? Which is why I love capitalism, right?
Well, where's the line blurring? I mean, couldn't you make the argument that Reddit is a social media platform?
100%. Yeah. Absolutely. They're another one. Huge. Aren't they IPOing this year? Are they?
I hadn't heard that.
Yes, they are. Oh, yeah, they are.
I think they are. Yeah, they're a big one. We get that one a lot. Reddit, from a general advertising perspective, I think they've got some work to do on let's call it brand safety, which is a pretty hot topic in social right now. So it's going to be interesting to see what that looks like when you start talking about getting big advertisements from P&G. P&G and some of these other large advertisers are sort of on the sidelines right now with YouTube because of the brand safety issues they're having. And, Facebook's got their own brand safety issues. So that's one of the things that it's a tough line to toe, right? You're trying to give people a voice and you're trying not to have that turn into censorship, but at the same time, like some people don't deserve a voice, Mm-hmm. Let's be honest. So I think that's a tough. I think you're also going to see some regulation there because of that.
Well, let's get that level of candor going. Can you protect your brand from offensive content in paid social, or is that just an occupational hazard?
It's an occupational hazard. And what the brands are saying, and I don't blame them, what the brands are saying is, look, I have other options that are safer. And I'm willing to put pressure on these larger organizations, Facebook and Google, to clean things up before I'm willing to give them the amount of budget that I would like to give them. There's a lot of budget sitting still in, I think, traditional television that would come over if the platforms were a safer environment in their mind. Now, having said that, I believe that people don't associate the video or the ad that ran in front of the content is, funded by the brand, right? They're buying in an auction and they ended up on that piece of content because, Robert, we knew who you were and what you were interested in.
Yeah. And
you were interested in that, piece of content. And so it's a Matt, this is a very tricky one. 700 minutes, 700 hours of video are uploaded to YouTube every minute, something like that. I mean, how do you process all of that?
Yeah.
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 No, go ahead.
And YouTube is a very valuable platform. I mean, when my dishwasher goes down, I can actually go look it up and say, hey, okay, all I had to do was, fill it up and flush it or whatever, and I've fixed the problem instead of calling the repair guy, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's the data thing and the brand safety thing are going to dog this industry for a while.
Where it seems to be more lax is on Twitter.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
And I believe that's why Disney that was going to buy them backed out, because there's a huge opportunity for advertising if they just cleaned it up.
Yeah, but I think there's even a more powerful reason. I mean, if Twitter does not turn a profit with the number one PR machine in the world using its brand name every single day, it's never going to. You will not get more promotion for your product than they are getting right now, and it doesn't seem to be helping them turn the corner.
Yeah.
Well, Google and Facebook are just better at converting.
Yeah, it just seems like they could do so much more that they're not doing,
Did the character limit change help or hurt Twitter?
I haven't noticed the budgets growing. It's a conversion, right? I mean, the reason Facebook grew and grew and grew the way that it did from a revenue perspective is because advertisers were converting on the platform. And if Twitter could solve that in their ads platform, the same. I mean, advertisers aren't going to ignore that, right? Yeah. The ads just aren't converting as well.
So you're saying that all the world of paid social comes down to direct response?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that if you want to grow a budget fast and build a relationship beyond DR, I think you need to start with DR, right? Like I think display started with direct response. You know, you put a banner ad up on Yahoo back in the day, and people clicked on it and went to your website and bought something. You know, and I think Facebook really did that really, really well. And that helped them get the other, mid-funnel budget as well.
I think where we are as a society, though, is our relationship with these media platforms, Facebook, Google, Twitter, it's very tenuous.
Yeah.
Right? When we stop getting what we want out of it, when it stops becoming relevant for us, we'll just change.
On to the next, yeah.
And if you compare that to the 50s and 60s and 70s, where radio, television, newspaper, they enjoyed such an entrenched relationship with consumers, that's gone. That's done. Right? So all these media outlets have got to figure out how to get you what you want and how to get me what I want.
In a very short period of time.
In a very short period of time. And that's why the world, and I agree with Patrick, that's why there's going to be new innovation.
Yeah.
Because somebody's going to slip, and then somebody's going to super serve some niche of an audience, and they're going to build on it, and then it's going to expand. We're just not committed to these media platforms in the way that we were 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Yep, I agree 100%.
It's a whole different world now.
It really is. It really is. It is what's in it for me, baby, and nothing else.
Yep, you're absolutely right. But that, if Twitter starts converting, the budgets are going to go through the roof, and they're going to start turning a massive profit.
One more comment about Twitter, and then we got to move on. But do you think Twitter has become, as a brand, more of an informational outlet than an advertising outlet? Does the average consumer now look at Twitter as a public address service almost because of what's happening in the White House?
Well, in my opinion, I don't think it ever really was a great advertising platform.
It wasn't.
If it wasn't for Donald Trump and those people, they'd be hurting right now.
Yeah, do people perceive Twitter as just an output, right? It's not something I engage with. It's just like a dissemination vehicle. Rather than Facebook, where I engage and I get warm memories and I get warm feelings from Facebook and Instagram. I don't get that from Twitter.
No.
I think you're right. I mean, I that's how I use it to keep up with, what's going on in the world.
The Kardashians.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to know what they're doing and where they are.
I have a more functional relationship with Twitter than I have with Instagram or Facebook. I mean, Twitter for me is like a mile per second. I'm just like through it. Whereas, Facebook, look at my little cousin, and Instagram, look at this. I pause, I reflect, I have some emotions. I don't have any emotions over anything I see on Twitter, really.
Yeah, the majority of the users too are on Twitter on mobile.
True.
So, I mean, if you look at the platform on mobile, where would you advertise unless you take up the feed, and freeze the ad or something? I don't know. So it doesn't move. I don't know.
Yep, there's a lot of smart people trying to figure that out right now, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Well, what do you think is the time for it? Believe it or leave it?
We got a little more time. Let's go ahead and do it.
All right, Patrick, are you ready? Believe it or leave it, one of the more popular aspects of Search Talk Live, where we give you 3 statements we found on the internet. And so we're going to ask you to tell our audience whether they should believe it or whether they should leave it. Are you ready?
Oh, boy. I'm ready.
Okay. Number 1, free texting will become ad-supported and part of the paid social genre.
Believe it.
Really?
Can you elaborate?
Yeah,
you're talking about You're talking about advertising through chat and these other platforms?
Yeah, I mean, can you see a day where if you want free texting, you got to absorb ads?
Oh, I don't think
been
so.
done. Yeah.
I don't think so. No, leave it.
Yeah.
If you're a carrier, why wouldn't you do that?
There are going to be ads in these messaging platforms, and there already are.
Yeah, and I think that it's already been tried in the past. I don't see it.
See, I'm not unconvinced. I see texting becoming the Spotify Pandora model. Give you a little bit for free, but I'm going to throw an ad in there. If you want the completely free version, you got to subscribe for $2.99.
Don't you feel like there's so much competition there that people will just go to the other service, the GroupMe, oh gosh, I mean, I feel like you can message. You can message from so many of these things. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it'd be like Hulu, where you have the premium without.
Exactly, but think about how texting's going to evolve, right? And think about how it has evolved to emojis. It's going to become a multimedia platform. And when it becomes a multimedia platform, I think the chances of it being subscription-based are greater, because I think the evolution of texting is something we can't see right now.
Mm-hmm. Are you throwing Slack in there too, in that?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess I would have to.
Yeah.
But
I can't see them. I see they would go subscription, right?
Yeah. Right.
Or maybe that's what you're saying. Maybe that's what you're saying, that the ultimate powerhouse of private messaging and all the things you want to do in messaging, you pay a subscription or you watch some ads. I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, because then you're opening up data sets that really are proprietary for some of these,
I think texting is going to evolve at a pace we have no idea.
Yeah.
Well, and Slack is sort of going after, the email market, right?
Yeah. Right.
Like, you don't really need mail anymore.
It gives you more control.
If you think about it. Yeah.
Heavy Slack user.
Yeah, same here. My businesses, for sure. Love that platform.
Yeah. All right.
I think I'm using about a tenth of it, to its capabilities, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I mean, I have leads for client leads dumping into it for clients and all kinds of stuff. So
yeah, we manage our customers through that platform. We'll set up a Slack and have them on it, and we can communicate with them in real time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's perfect.
All right. Question number 2. 5G will make video the standard ad type in paid social.
Well, I think videos, I'm obviously bullish on video. We penetrated this very, let's say crowded advertising space on the back of our knowledge of video and where it was going to go. I said this, back in 2013, I said every page on the internet's going to have video. And we have that now, right? It's hard to go to a large publisher site, let's say an ESPN, without, video playing.
Yeah. It's a stronger message driver,
Yeah, exactly. It's a picture's worth 1,000 words, and then you go into a video, right? So, yes, I think anytime you can speed things up and make things more visually appealing, I think that's a checkbox in the positive direction for video. Yes.
All right, number 3. People are going to scoff at this. You ready?
Yeah.
Google will make another attempt to get into the social media space in the next 5 years.
They tried that with Google Plus.
Mm-hmm.
Big fail. No.
What do you think,
They
Patrick?
did. I'm really interested in this gaming platform they just announced, right? Because that's social, and YouTube is social. So I think they're in it. I don't know. The one thing that their money hasn't been able to buy is that expert to put that together. I mean, I felt like Google Plus was sort of a disaster on rollout. kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I wasn't a big Gmail fan either, because I was a big Outlook guy, and my entire company's on Gmail, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I think maybe they're one of those companies that needs a lot of time to sort of come out with the right strategy there. But they're in it. I mean, don't kid yourself. You know, they're in it with YouTube, and I believe this gaming platform there's going to be a lot of social aspect to this gaming platform.
Yeah. I'm curious
Yeah.
about that because they're going to be in direct competition with like Steam and stuff like that, which they're they've been around for a while and have a huge following. So.
Well, Steam, Twitch,
Yeah, exactly.
Xbox, PS4, like, you know, all of them, right? I mean, I think that's the plan, cloud gaming. You don't need a box in your house anymore.
Yeah.
That's something where I think maybe the Microsoft guys got kind of caught. You know, it's so interesting for businesses, right? Once you start going down this rabbit hole of this is our business, you're optimizing towards that thing, and all of a sudden somebody comes up with something so obvious. Yeah. You know, this should be in the cloud. Mm-hmm. It should be in the cloud. Yeah. You know?
Well,
so
we couldn't until, probably 6 years, didn't have the internet speeds to handle it.
So and I would argue that issue. And I would argue maybe that we still don't.
Yeah.
But they've already drawn the line in the sand. Hey, we're here, and the internet's just going to keep getting better. We've got the best that you can get to right now, and we're going to keep developing into that because that's where we think it's going. I think it was really smart. I mean, to answer your question, I think is yes, Matt. Now, do I think that it's going to look like Facebook? I don't think so.
It's a great observation on your part. And also, I think that Google has proven itself to be a fairly nimble company over the past 5-6 years. I mean, they are willing to throw something up on the wall and seeing if it works.
Yeah.
On that, they move left and right very quickly.
They're probably the best minimum viable product producer on the planet.
Agree.
Definitely. It's time for the tattoo.
All right, the Search Talk Live tattoo. Patrick, giving us a lot of great stuff to think about. Appreciate it. But if you had to distill it down to something that's tattooable, which is important because Robert gets all these. He's the king of ink here at Search Talk Live. What is your tattooable Search Talk Live tattoo?
Oh my gosh! I mean, this is tough. I mean, I guess Matt, you've kind of been saying it during the whole program. I think people are too focused on what they're going to pay to an agency without realizing that, if you're with the right partner, they've put tens of millions of dollars into their technology to get your competitor that advantage over you. And so you're at a disadvantage if you're not with not with a company like ours, to be honest with you.
Tattoo.
Yeah, that is a femur length tattoo there, Patrick.
So you gotta write that across start at your wrist and go down to your ankle, I suppose.
If I was summarizing today's show, Robert, my Search Talk Live tattoo would be "Know thy audience."
Yes. Well said.
Thank you.
Thank you, man. Still way too many companies out there exasperating themselves trying to talk to everybody.
So your tattoo's not scrapbooking?
Or Kardashians?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the front side.
Well, Patrick, I want to thank you for being on the show. It has been awesome. Lots of great information. If people want to reach out to you on, let's say, Twitter, I mean, you're a social guy, so you're probably all over the place. So if you could let everybody know how they can reach out to you for questions or whatever it may be.
Yeah, at strikesocial.com, we have a drift bot there, and you can get me there. Or you can, LinkedIn is great for this. I think LinkedIn Messenger works really well for me. You can just go look me up, Patrick McKenna, Strike Social, and message me right there. I'm really good at getting back to people too. So
very cool. So
yeah,
what is the bot you were talking about?
The bot Drift. Have you guys talked to Drift at all?
No.
Drift is like one of those chat bots you put on your website. They've done some incredible stuff. You guys should get them on the show.
Huh.
Check it out.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it. Everybody, thanks for listening to the show. Be sure to show your support. Visit our sponsors directiveconsulting.com, and nobs.link. Also, be sure and hit us up on Twitter if you have questions or anything like that using hashtag Search Talk Live. We're also at Search Talk Live. And then where can they reach you, Matt?
They can reach me at bestwebdesignfl.com. And this Thursday, by the way, Robert, I'm going to be in Indianapolis at the Greenwood Public Library at 9:30, talking to a large group organized by the nice folks at SCORE in Indianapolis.
Nice. Is scrapbooking? Just kidding. All right, guys. Thanks a lot. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Thanks, Robert.
Search Talk Live is sponsored by the Robert Palmer family of companies. If you have questions for Search Talk Live, or you're interested in being a guest or a sponsor of the show, email Robert at searchtalklive.com. That's searchtalklive.com.